Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Dwayne Spin Stop. It's the 6th episode and I have my friend Joanna Dong here in the house.
How is it only the 6th episode?
Of season 3.
Oh!
Yeah, I have seasons
3
now.
seasons already, so
3 seasons.
good.
We had a 5-year
Yay.
hiatus and
Well done.
so Joe has just performed actually at Jewel, right?
Yes.
At the Star Awards.
Yes, that's right.
We'll talk more about that in a bit. But first, before we start, I always like to invite my guests to ask the universe a question. And if you see here, we have cards just for fun.
Right.
If you take it or leave it, but it's just for fun.
Okay.
There are 2 decks you can choose from.
Okay.
Do you prefer the mermaids and dolphins or animals?
I'll go for power animal.
Great. Animals have traits and things that we can learn. These are actual traits of the animals. So
Okay.
it's
I'm
like
a sloth.
I'm a sloth.
Well, my husband will tell you I'm a sloth. I just like
I'm quite a
sleep.
sloth too.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a sloth. So while you think of your question, I'm gonna
Okay.
quickly plug these clothes that are sponsored by Yishu. Thank you very much for sponsoring the
Yes.
episode so far. They are at CityLink Mall. They celebrate Asianness, and I don't know if you can see it, but
The
their
bamboo
buttons,
details.
the bamboo details, and it's stretchy.
Yeah,
There's
nice
like
fabric.
little red, and the buttons are nice. I mean, you can't see it all closely, but yeah, really good stuff.
Nice.
And also, hopefully you don't skip through the episode, but if you need to review the episode, there are going to be timestamps in the video description below, so you can head to that and read.
Cool, smart.
There's going to be a lot of stuff in the video description which people don't read, including Joe's homework, which is a Spotify playlist that she will curate as a gift. She didn't agree to this. As a gift to viewers, so that they take home a bit of Joe as well, and
Yes.
put some of your music in. Don't be modest. I think
Okay,
Inch didn't
I'll
put her
do that.
music in.
Oh, okay. I will plug myself.
All right. So do you have your question? Sorry, we were talking, right?
Wow,
So
what kind of questions do people normally? Just any kind of like live questions.
yeah, people are afraid to ask like open-ended questions. It
Right.
doesn't have to be a yes or no.
Right.
Yeah, anything at all that.
Okay, I mean, should I continue to make music?
Wow. Okay.
It's like a huge question.
It's a huge question.
But why not?
All right, let's
Yeah.
see what the animals say. Tell me when to stop. You can pick the top card, or you can
Okay.
ask me to spread the deck, and then you just choose.
Stop. And then I'll take this one.
Okay, and then you can show everybody and read too. I don't even know
Says
the.
Squirrel.
Okay, what does the squirrel represent?
Yeah, preparation. It says get ready for big changes. Jang, jang,
Okay.
jang.
Right. Oh yeah, big changes, preparation. So that your question is, should I make more music?
Should I continue to make music? Yeah.
And okay, so feel the anticipation of what you know is coming. I think they're saying you know already what is coming.
Yeah.
Oh, you do know.
No, I mean I have been, in the process of recording more music. I think the pandemic has really impacted, lots of people in the live music industry.
Yeah.
So with all this downtime that I've got, I've just hit the studio. So I've been recording, doing a bit more writing, which is a muscle that I haven't flexed in a while. So yeah, I am about to release music, but it's scary. It's scary because I don't know how people are going to react to it, and
But
as
as
recent
always,
events have
right?
shown, it's hard
Oh,
to.
as in
yeah.
this current environment, how people are
Yeah.
gonna react. Right,
Yeah,
right.
some of them are very weird covers, much weirder than you already know me for. So I'm actually going quite out there, I think, in terms of what people think of as my sound. So
Right.
get ready for big changes is very appropriate.
It usually is, these cards. They usually are.
Scary.
And it says here, this can be a new job, a new relationship, or a major move, which is, as you said,
It's
a
major
shift
move.
in your sound. There will be no doubt be challenges. You can prepare for them in a number of ways. The most important kind of readiness has to do with your mind.
Mhm.
How smoothly you move through these changes is totally dependent on your attitude, thoughts, and beliefs. There is no need to scurry, no need to worry. Rather than rush, make each moment count. If you worry, it will just make everything a lot harder. So just do what you have to do to prepare. Don't get so bogged down in making a list after list, and this can help, but at the same time, it's better to stay active, focused, and purposeful in your efforts. Get a sense of where you're going, even if you may change course later. Rely on family and close friends for support before and during this transition, and most importantly, keep breathing. Additional association, gathering, activity, alertness, guardian. Seems very appropriate.
I think it's spot on. It's just kind of how scary the cosmos knows.
It's very, very.
It knows.
And I always like to look at other cards, you know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, empathy may not work.
Yeah.
Authority is not so much like it's telling you to be.
It could be. I'm
you
sure
know.
all of it can be relevant in some
Can be, yeah, but
aspect or another. But
adaptability, yeah. So, yeah, so
this,
there we
this
go.
year has definitely been a year of preparation because there hasn't been much opportunity to do.
Right,
And so I just have been preparing. I've been often referring to this time as a time where I go back to planting seeds. So yeah, because there's no harvest to be had right now, so you just plant, till the land, which is hard work, and plant seeds.
Yeah. But this is something we don't get to do when we're so busy moving forward. So in some
and
ways,
we should always do it, but you're right, we often neglect it when there are more shiny opportunities or more fun things to do or more lucrative things to do.
yeah. So we don't get a chance to step back.
Mm.
But speaking of which, you've had one really good golden opportunity, I guess. The recent, I mean, depends on how you look at it, I guess. The recent Star Awards, which now I want to ask you this: did it take place at? I didn't watch it. I only watched the performance. Sorry.
Yeah, there were a couple of venues.
Oh,
and so
okay.
one of the venue, I mean, they were all in the Jewel Changi Airport area, but there was I think one stage where I was, which is at the Rain Vortex, that beautiful waterfall, and then there's at T4 and then various routes. So it was safe distancing measures were all in place.
But the audience were.
There was no live audience this year.
Oh, okay.
None at all. So only crew and then the participants were either nominees or other MediaCorp stars were present.
Right. So you've performed yet again in front of in a different environment. You were saying how it's a tick off your list, right?
You see, that's the thing, right? So I always laugh about it with my friends because I somehow end up performing in or around fountains.
Really?
So one of the ones that.
But was this on your wish list?
It's not on my wish list, but when I got the gig, I was like, yes, because the Jewel is a very new venue after all. So I don't think they intended for that to be a stage, and I'll tell you why. Because of all the water that's coming down, it's actually very misty around it.
There's a lot of backsplash.
There is. I mean, you can't see it on screen, but I can actually see a very slight mist. And sometimes you can feel it. So very quickly your hair will get damp, everything starts to get a little moist. And that's actually pretty bad for instruments, for example. So we were very concerned about our violinist,
mics, right?
Joy. Yeah.
Right.
So
all
all that has to be
gosh,
quite
strings
carefully managed. Yeah, violins are very delicate and expensive instruments. So we're very mindful, to put her, a distance away from the water as well, so as not to damage her instrument.
Wow.
But I mean, still it was so cool because that was just, a really spectacular backdrop.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'll tell you which are some of the other fountains I've performed at. So Suntec City, there's the Fountain of Wealth,
right?
And I have performed not inside of it, but in front of it, at one of the sites. And then I've also done at the basement of Raffles City.
Yep.
There is a
there by
fountain.
the two
So I
escalators
think
going
there
up.
was a year where I think it was around Christmas time or something like that. Where what they do is maybe in the evenings at a certain time, they'll turn off the fountains and somebody will come on and mop that area, and then they'll move a small setup, like a guitarist and myself, and then we will perform live.
Wow.
On the fountain. So I was always wondering, what if somebody flips the switch accidentally and then the water starts coming up.
But there's nothing put on top of it, right? It's just oh wow.
Yeah, but they do wipe it dry because we have to lay cables, there's microphones and the guitar is wired, right?
Oh, fun.
And then I think there's a couple more fountains, but they're less, smaller fountain things.
Right.
I think when I was gigging at Oosh, which is at Dempsey, there was also a fountain area,
Right.
and I had performed on it or around it also.
It's good luck, right? I mean,
It is. Chinese people, we say,
water.
it's 水生财, right?
Yeah.
So it's always very hot.
And none of this has been orchestrated by you. It's like it just so happens
Yeah.
you've been. It's not like I want to perform at this. Can we perform?
No,
there?
no. None of it was my choice, but I'm always up for it, so I'm quite game, right? So they're like,
Right.
you want me to perform where? Where? Oh, okay, can.
Right.
Happy to try. Yeah.
So the I guess the one of the bigger ones would be at like on Sentosa, aren't there like
I performed at the underwater, like in the aquarium. I performed in front
wow.
of the glass with the fishes behind as well. But the fountain.
there's a Universal Studios one and then
Oh yeah,
there
no.
is
So I've
and
not
the
performed
old
in front of
are they
that.
still there, even the musical fountains, the colourful ones? They're gone, right? Long gone, right?
But the MBS also has like a fountain show,
True.
a water show as well, right?
So
yeah,
not yet.
not yet. Yeah.
Very. And how does it? Do you compete with the fountain noise? Like especially for Jewel, it's so loud. I mean, you can practically hear it in
You
the
can
in
hear
the
it.
in the.
But that's also why I have the
Right,
earphones,
right,
so
right.
that really helps.
Right. Wow. And speaking of the performance, you had this
Yes.
really gorgeous, quite a large dress, and I
Yes.
noticed you wear. I think you push for like larger dresses, right? Which a lot of
In
performers
recent
don't
years, I think partly it's also like a certain insecurity I have with how I look.
Okay.
So I'm thinking if there's like more things to look at, so if there's like a
Right.
big dress, then it will distract people from like my face.
do. Right.
So, you know, give people more to look at. But I think also throughout, I mean, the pandemic year, because like we're just at home in like t-shirt and shorts or your pajamas, I think any opportunity I get, I wanted to overdress, like
Right,
really
right.
like find an occasion and really dress up for it, so that
Right.
you know, it's just to celebrate
Yeah.
fashion, celebrate all the small things. So even for my own Jie Time live stream, I would like wear a gown for no good reason.
Right.
Besides the fact it's like I think I need a bit of like self love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I'm also very conscious, so I try not to show my arms because I don't work out, right? So I just started, but like anyway, I don't really work out, so I don't
Right.
have toned arms, and I get very self conscious. So I'm
Right.
like, just cover it up. So I
Right.
always ask for like some. So
Some sort of-
you'll notice I'll layer like shirts underneath. or
Right, and
whatever.
stuff like that.
So
Wow.
that's kind of my look.
Thank you for being so open, honest. So you see,
know,
like
I
I mean,
don't
like
want it to hide. I mean, it's just the truth, right?
Yeah. That goes to show, like I mean, you know, everyone's a human being. I mean, artists are as well. I have my insecurities. I've been called canoe face, right? So, I mean, and from the outside, I look at you and you're pretty, and you know,
Thank
there's
you.
like really nothing to worry about. But you know, so it does. Yeah, we do have insecurities, and you know, I can.
Yeah, and words, you know,
And
even
words can-
even things said in passing, you know, casually,
Yeah.
can really have a impact. It can stay with you for very long. Both of us, we were in Singapore Idol together,
Yeah.
so you remember this.
Yeah.
When I was called auntie, that stuck with me for a very long time. It was a stigma that I couldn't shake for very long, and it was, you know, for entertainment factor. Of course I was resentful and upset about it, right? But when you look back at it now, you're like, yeah lah. Otherwise, the show would be very boring if everybody was always very PC. So you and they were just speaking their minds. It was not like
Yeah.
they're being malicious, right?
No.
But and yet it was just something that really just I stuck with me, and I felt very self-conscious. And so now all the time I'll look at the outfit and I'll like, I think it's aging. I think it makes me look auntie. I will
Right.
self-censor because you know
Mm.
I feel it's like this PTSD from. I mean, I'm it's not that serious, but it's a slight
Yeah.
stigma.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And my comment has stayed with me too. I mean, I sang Go the Distance, and very easily they played on the words. And like, Dwayne, you will not go the distance. But they don't actually tell you why, and it's not constructive. It's just meant to be.
It's a
It's
sound bite
entertainment.
for TV,
It's a sound bite,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But then it stays with the person. So, you know, just while we're on this topic really quickly, I think in terms of, you know, keyboard warriors, I had a viral video I did about Disney. This episode is not about me, but just really quickly, you
I
know,
want to hear it. Yeah.
all the comments that came in, you know, basically they're very hurtful, and you know, it's nothing you can do to stop it. So I think the best thing to do is just to sort of just really find strength in your friends and the people that support you.
Yeah.
And if you can look at it these people are also, in some ways, they're hurting. I mean, the world is right now so a little bit unbalanced, and everybody's like a little broken walking around. And when people feel that they don't have enough, which is justified, there sometimes isn't enough, that it's being done. Then they lash out in different ways. So just be kind.
I think we can definitely do better. And that's my company name. Do different, do better, do different. Yeah, do that's the name of my company.
Yeah.
My God, took me a moment.
Oh, that's what it means.
Yeah, it's short for do better.
Oh, I thought it was
different.
A jazz like.
It is. It's meant to be like
well.
a scat, like a
how smart.
doobie, but it's short for do better, do different, and it's something to remind myself, right? Precisely because I feel like I haven't done it yet, and so
Right.
I want to remind myself to be there. But I mean, I will say that. So I am really thankful, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but I'm really thankful that people have, also taken the time to send me lots of messages and encouragement and tell me what the positive things that they thought. But I also want to acknowledge that, of course they have every right to dislike what they hear. I mean, that's fair, right? You are the audience, and you it's up to you what you like or you dislike. I think what really hurt me or stung was the way it was expressed. I'm totally up for constructive criticism, or if you feel like you didn't like it and you could tell me why, how could I do better. But in fact most of it was very harsh, and it was just from a place of true, very strong feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I almost say hate, like it was. And I just couldn't wrap my mind around why. Why was it really so awful? And I think that just in that moment, especially after a whole year of really struggling to make music, and then I finally get on this wonderful big stage, and then to have that thrown in my face, that was rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people also, were telling me, just ignore them, haters will be haters. But I also want to say that, so just a decade ago, people used to say, boys will be boys. And this is about the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
And, or like, you should be thankful that people even catcall you or like harass you at work because they
Right.
think you're attractive. But clearly now, looking back, we know that
That's not the point, right?
that's not the point.
It's
And
it's a bit
also,
toxic to leave it as at that.
yeah, sure, you can ignore them, but we can also aspire to express ourselves better.
Yeah.
I think that's really what I was hoping to draw attention to.
Yeah.
We just learn to all try and express ourselves better, myself included. I mean, I was upset and I said some harsh things in response to, because I was stung, right? So
Yeah.
it is a continued journey to learn how to communicate all these things better. But you're right, people are in pain.
Yeah.
And I feel very sad too that society is so broken that that we have no other way of expressing our own pain than to take it out on a stranger. So
Yeah.
I'm sad too.
Yeah. Not to drag Nathan into this, but I am. Like he's got his, when he sang the National Day song last year, was it?
Yeah.
Also, they were like, oh, he's not a real Singaporean and everything. So, it does weigh down on people. So, I mean, just to be careful what you say, or just be sensitive, because everybody, in some way or another, when we are working or whatever job we do, we are expressing ourselves. So whatever we express will always be on some platform. So everybody's work is out there. So just think about how you want your work to be evaluated, and and the feedback you would want for yourself is the same way you should behave.
But like you said also, like kindness is being paid forward, but this kind of negativity also gets paid forward. And I assume that people who leave these comments online probably experience a lot of hate and negativity from elsewhere.
It's been passed, yeah.
And so they are just like throwing it forward.
Exactly.
And so maybe somewhere we can like put a circuit breaker to that kind of negativity, hopefully.
That's why you wear a big dress, right? You're like
To try and
deflect.
it didn't save me from it, but like it does. Actually, the gown is like a costume. It's totally like a piece of armor.
Right.
It does make me feel more prepared for a big show. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of the dress,
No,
is
but
it
first I
spon-
wanted to
Mhm.
say that Nathan's got a new song up.
Oh,
Because we
yeah.
were talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
We should
yeah,
totally
he's-
talk about it.
I'm fine. His
I'm
video.
fine. I'm already a fan. I'm a fan.
And it's a little bit of a irony, right? I mean, it's meant to be an irony, right? Because things are thrown at, like, or whatever is going on, like with COVID going on, how we're all expected to, say I'm fine and just put on a smile and just keep going on. But sometimes when you're not, it's actually good to acknowledge that. I think we're
Absolutely.
all human.
Yeah,
Um,
I found strength in that too, and that's also why I allowed myself to post and say I wasn't fine,
Yep.
and from there I was able to then process my feelings, because I think most of the time, especially I don't know about the younger generations, but in my time, like people are like, you shouldn't show that you're sad, or it's just more gracious just to ignore or just be quiet or deal with it in private.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but if I never express it, people don't know that it affected me at all.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not like it just like water off a duck's back. It didn't slide off my back. I was affected, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to put it out there and say, yeah. But then also, we all can do better, myself included. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's glad. I'm glad you spoke out. I think whether or not I guess a lot of artists have managers too, and I can imagine managers going, no, don't say anything, please, just don't, but knowing that you spoke out means is, for me, it's like I know that at least you have freedom of speech, even though you have someone helping you to
It's to just find some agency. And funny enough, actually as an artist, especially when you become a so-called celebrity artist, you actually lose a lot of autonomy. People always think, oh, the more famous you are, the more control you have, and that's sometimes not true. Because the more famous you are, the stakes or the imagined stakes for every show becomes bigger. Clients will be spending more money to hire you, and therefore they expect more of you. There will be many more boxes to check.
right.
And then every performance also the stakes are raised because more people see it, so maybe there'll be more criticism, etc. So every single step of the way, like more and more things weigh on you, and then you start to really feel like you are not in control of the situation anymore. It's like out of your hands.
Right.
Yeah.
There's that duality in terms of the fame.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that, the higher you climb, so to speak, you're actually serving more. I guess humility is
You should
important.
serve.
I would imagine people would think, oh, the higher you climb, yeah, in some ways you can ask for more, but and you can be so-called diva, but at the same time, I think it also you should be able to afford more humility and humbleness to serve.
It is true. The best leaders are really the servants. Like as in like that's what it means to be a leader, right?
Yeah.
That you have to serve more people, and
Yeah.
I'm really learning that.
Yeah.
I hate leadership too. I really always shy away from leadership positions. So it's like
Yeah.
quite an uncomfortable role to be stepping into.
Yeah. Back to dresses.
Yes.
How do you keep them? Are they sponsored? Like how it's so big. I can imagine like my
Yes.
closet. It's just I can only hold one dress and
Yeah, so thankfully I work with a really talented young stylist. I work with different stylists, but the one that I regularly work with is Josiah.
okay.
So he finds creative ways. So sometimes he will borrow the outfits. Okay, you loan them from various brands, and then or sometimes he also scours the internet and like buys either second hand, or sometimes he finds like Taobao dresses.
Wow.
But like he will add to them, or like he'll adjust them such a way that they look more like they're more expensive or
Right.
like more luxury. So there are a lot of creative ways like he's gonna do it. And then I remember there was once we did this show for StarHub, and I was
Mhm.
in this mint colored gown. After I sang my song, we were like, we still have to appear for the final bow and curtain call, right? So it's like, why don't we just cut it? So it was really a mentor's moment. And
Wow.
then he just like cut the tulle from knee down. So then I had like, instead of a big gown, I had a little mini, like a little tulle dress. And so then I had like a slightly different look for the closing, which was
Oh,
really
cool.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can only
Wow.
do that because it was at Taobao just lah.
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
you didn't feel too precious about it.
Right,
You
but
can't do that for like a borrowed dress.
no,
right?
yeah, but it's such a cool, rare thing to happen. It's an art in itself. The whole, you
It's
know.
really all about the attitude, I guess. But
Yeah.
for like Star Awards, I was dressed by MediaCorp styling, and I always feel very paiseh because, like I said, right, I always want to cover my arms, but you know, like gowns, they're all usually like backless. They usually show off quite a bit of skin, so it's very hard to fulfill. Like you need to be glamorous and you need to be covered up.
Yeah.
You know, so I appreciate that, you know, they take the effort, you know,
Yeah.
to help me feel more secure and confident before I go on stage.
Yeah, tough job. I mean, I can even imagine like for those that wear corsets, like, and you're singing.
Oh,
How do you even do that? You know, I don't
it is
even
tough.
know.
It is tough.
It's tough,
so,
right?
Yeah. So sometimes you have to try and like find some kind of compromise between comfort and functionality and then also what looks good. Yeah.
Right. Speaking of fame, I just want to talk about this. But yeah, what the concept of fame is so interesting to me, and also how I deal with it amongst my friends who.
You know quite a lot of famous local
Yeah.
artists. Yeah.
And so like yeah, with my relationships with them, sometimes when I know them before they get famous, and then when they get famous, I tend to like back away because I'm like, oh, how do I behave now? Like they must be going through something so different right now.
Right.
Have they changed? And now I'm finding out more about them from. Actually, nowadays it's no different from social media, but still, I feel like I'm finding out more about them from the news.
Right.
And not so much from themselves, but also I can't fault them because they're probably busy. So then I tend to back away. I don't know if it's my
Right.
own. But for you personally, what has that been like? You know, that transition. How do you then has your social environment changed? The way you relate to people, and then there are more people who want to be your friends, right? I guess. Or
Yes and no. I guess I've always been kind of friendly, so
Mhm.
like I never felt like people never want to be my friend. So
okay.
I think in general, I didn't really feel the difference there. But first, I want to qualify that whenever I say fame, I always put inverted commas
Of
because
course.
I'm very self-aware that I think I'm maybe better known compared to before. I'm better known in Singapore now. But am I objectively famous? That's a really hard question. I don't
Right.
think people outside of Singapore really know who I am. I'm definitely not like a JJ Lin or Steph San or nowhere at that level
Yeah.
of international or even regional fame. So I always qualify it because I also self-conscious, right? Like when I say, oh, I'm a celebrity, I also do this because I feel like it's all very relative.
It is. We
It's
were just
very
talking
relative.
about how like, you know, Katy Perry has like 20 million followers, and then JJ Lin has like 5 million. But to me, I mean, like, you know, I mean, if you compare,
I remember I was doing this show,
right?
and there was an Indonesian singer who was video calling into the show. So, and she's you know, gorgeous and sang wonderfully. But honestly, because we don't really follow Indonesian pop scene and we don't really listen to maybe Indo music, we didn't know who we were. So backstage we were like googling her name, and then like one of the other artists, she just gasped out. She was like, she has so many million followers. She has more followers than the entire population of Singapore,
Right.
and yet we had no idea who she was.
Like, yeah, fame is the concept of fame is
You know,
is individual based. If you know that person, then you know that person.
Then they're
If
famous
you
to
don't,
you, is it?
then they're not, right? As in like,
Yeah.
it's just that, oh, she's really famous, but if you just talk to somebody who doesn't know that person, it's like, does it matter to me? I don't know her, so
Yeah,
she's
they
not
don't
famous
care.
then.
Yeah, she's
So it's
not,
like an individual sort of how you weigh it out is you know, I look at it that way. I was gonna say about
No,
that.
but you were asking me how it affected
Yeah, how
me,
does it
right?
affect
And
your-
how it's changed. I
Has
think
it
it's
at all? I'm
for sure it has. I mean, definitely when it comes to professional opportunities, I definitely got more gigs. Maybe I shouldn't put it this way. In terms of absolute numbers, I didn't get more gigs, but I was given opportunity and access to much better paying gigs. So basically, my pay scale became exponentially higher.
Right.
And that was exactly what I was hoping to do, because for a long time, to be honest, in the live gigging scene in Singapore, the rates have been stagnating. So I have musician friends telling me they're being paid now exactly dollar for dollar the same amount. Let's say it's let's say a regular gig is like 180 Singapore dollars, right? That's what they were paid in the 80s.
And it hasn't changed.
And in between there's been inflation,
Yeah.
And so it's kind of shocking.
Wow.
And I was really looking at my own career, and I was like, am I going to be playing for like this amount of money for this amount of work for the rest of my life, and how am I going to make that work? So I was like, I think I have to break out of this mold, and so I started on a path to consciously try to become a more known singer, so a more celebrity type singer, because then there is no ceiling for what a celebrity can charge, only what people are willing to pay you.
Exactly.
And so after I came back from that contest and had all the exposure, I was able to get these really big well-paying gigs. So they were less in terms of numbers, because of course there are less companies or less clients or brands that can afford these new like celebrity scale rates. But then when you divide it out, a monthly, I was definitely making more money. It was a really exciting time, right? So that was great. And then also I got to have all the requirements I wanted to have a good show. So I could now request for my own sound engineer. I can request for my own styling team. I can request for always to have proper rehearsals before shows. Can you believe it? There was once a time where you want to rehearse, also people say no time, no money. Why? You have to pay. You have to, and you should pay people to rehearse, but sometimes there's not enough budget for that.
Yeah.
So now I can have rehearsals. I can have arrangements commissioned for songs that I want to do. So all these things that I was hoping to have in order to get to a better level of music making, I could now have. So that was amazing. That's great. But when it comes to making friends, I think it's much the same. Of course,
are you more cautious, like in terms of newer people coming up to you? I mean, I guess it depends on the context, right?
I guess I'm usually quite open, and in the moment I will always be willing to have a conversation, whoever it is. But yeah, I think I'm definitely a little bit more selective with who comes to my house, for example. So who do I now invite to my inner circle? I definitely become a bit more selective. Also because sometimes I'm very no filter one, then like talk rubbish lah, swear words lah, all that. So I think people who don't really understand that, or you don't feel safe with, and you no longer you no longer feel at ease. So most of the close friends I have now were close friends from before the contest.
Right.
But then I also made a lot of new friends lah. So I don't know.
Right.
It's okay.
Fun stuff. But sometimes I look at it and I also see like it's almost like a little game which you kind of have to play, right? Like when you see a big star walk in, there's the entourage, and it's like it looks like serious business, and you're like, you better get out of the way. And
I was paiseh, at the beginning, because like like you'll get like I'll probably have like 7 to 10 people now in my team whenever I go to a gig, and then you're walking through and it's like it's a cluster of people, and then if like a client has to like pack lunch, like pack a dinner bento for your crew, they now have to pay for like 10 boxes of food rather than just like 1 or 2. So I was actually very self-conscious, and I was like quite mindful of it. I felt uncomfortable that I was burdening people with like how many people I was moving with.
Right.
But then I think the thing about this is you get used to it. You get used to being treated nice. You get used to being pampered, and so now I kind of like, it's nice. It's nice to have my team around me. I feel safe around them.
I think if you can look at it from the perspective of, but that's what you need to prepare for your show, and that's what they're willing to give. So it's just just own
but
it,
then the pandemic also changed everything, because now head count is very precious. Like the number of people you can have at any event is very, very precious, and so it's kind of nice also to go back to a more streamlined team as well, which is not a bad thing. Yeah.
For now, at least.
I'm here by myself today.
Yes.
Because this is like chit-chatting with friends.
I actually really quickly I interviewed Beyonce once, and she had she didn't have a manager in the room. Most people have. I don't know how much I can say, but like the other reporters that were there, they were telling me how like Jessica Simpson has her manager with her in case she says something that's not
Right.
appropriate, and then the manager can step in. But
Or in
Beyonce
case
is
somebody asks her something inappropriate, and then they can
Right.
step in very nicely and just say, hey, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard for us to say, oh, I don't think that's appropriate, because then people say, oh, you're so diva, or
yeah,
like,
right.
it's very easy for people to think that we're being difficult, and so
Yeah.
sometimes that's the role of the manager to
Mm.
be the mediator, but also to be what we call the pai lang. So like the manager, unfortunately, and thanks Jing, has to play the role of like the bad guy.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, lor.
So yeah,
to
well,
protect the artist lah.
so yeah, apparently Beyonce is pretty. She
But
she
that's
knows
so
how to
cool.
handle herself.
She does. Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
All right, moving on to the technology of things now. I don't know how much time do we have? What I have to go
How
look
long
at
are
my.
these? Oh wow,
There are
we've been
30,
talking
35
for a lot.
minutes.
Okay.
We've still got about 25 minutes.
Oh yeah, sure.
So now let's move on to we'll see if we have time for a Clubhouse.
Yeah, I was so into it, right? And then I haven't touched it for 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
That's also why I haven't properly initiated you, because
Right.
you joined just as I was kind of dropping off the radar.
Right. Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to get sort of invited to this app where it functions like a chat group basically,
Yeah.
and you can schedule chats, and then people of the same interest can sort of talk together, and you can meet other people. It's a great way to network. It's almost like a podcast, and you're joining the conversation.
Yeah, it's
Um,
an interactive podcast.
Yeah, it's led by the several key people. It's a bit elitist though, because friends of the people who are talking now are in one tier, and then the
Yeah,
friends if
yeah.
you don't have any friends talking, then you have to get invited as well. So we'll talk a bit more about that if there's time.
Okay.
But first of all, I wanted to talk more about video gaming and what you're involved with writing a theme song for,
Yes.
which is it's called The Bride Knocks.
The Bride Always Knocks
The Bride
Twice.
Always Knocks Twice. It's done by the theatre practice,
Mhm.
and it's spearheaded by Kuo Jian Hong.
Mm.
And very much, this is sort of like a mystery that you're trying to solve online. So theatre has gone online a little bit. In the same way, Hosan's, we talked about this in an earlier episode, Hosan Liao's company, has put up with Sideline Productions a mystery called The Curious Case of the
Missing
Peranakan
Treasure.
Treasure. Yeah. So I did that. Lots of fun. Features Raffles Hotel very well. It
Nice.
features some local flavor to the story, and it's also a mystery, and you solve it. I solved it. I got a
Yay!
$10 voucher for solving it for Raffles Hotel merchandise, and
Nice.
a chance to win a staycation at the presidential suite.
That
yeah.
would be nice. That would be nice.
I hear that this one is more tricky though. You've read the script, you know that.
I know. Okay, so
Is it a killer?
I love.
There's a killer, right?
I love whodunits.
Right,
Right. Okay,
right.
so I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. And I just grew. And when I was young, I read Nancy Drew. So I just love detective stories, playing Cluedo, etc. So already this is totally up my alley. And then actually, I think last year, in my mind, one of the first theatre companies to do this with some of my friends. They did a piece called Body X, and Body X previously was site specific. You would go to the arts house, and there would be a story that would be unraveling around you, and there are many different scenes depending on which room you choose to go to. And so that's the annoying but also the fun thing. You can never be in all the rooms at once, but something is always happening.
Right.
So you have to consult your friends and say, okay, you go to that room, I'll go to this room, and then we'll come back and then we'll exchange notes and try and solve it. And then last year they did a digital version. And then after that, I think there were a couple. I think there was one that was kind of like at a soldiers, like a camp,
Right. Wow.
right? Similar. So I think it's trending. Remember there was a time where like musical theatre things were trending. Like
Yeah.
everybody was doing like musical theatre in
and then
Singapore.
yeah.
Then after that, it was like
something.
everybody was doing some kind of site specific or like some roaming thing.
Yeah.
And then this year it's like the whodunits.
The whodunits, like
Yeah.
it's crazy. So I guess that would be more expensive to do on site, right? I mean, like, because you have to have the actors there and everything. Digital, you can
I
just
don't
replay
know.
it, and so might be.
Oh, but production costs are also expensive. So I think it's a
True,
different
true.
kind of cost and a different aesthetic, different experience.
Yeah.
But from what I know, so okay, I'm not acting in The Bride Always Knocks Twice, but I have seen the very first version, that was the stage version,
Mm-hmm.
and it is kind of a bit like Doctor Who, where it's like this this mysterious place that you women can access. So in their times of desperation, a door will open.
Wow.
And these women from different eras in Singapore history find themselves in a room where time is suspended.
That's why they all gone missing. Is
Yes.
that why?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of like the premise, right? And so now they've using this premise, they've put into like a new space at the Soloha Hotel, and something mysterious happens there, and then
Okay.
you get to go and figure out who did it.
Who did it?
And then
Okay.
I love it because I'm co-writing the song and singing the theme song for the show with Joe Ng, who was from a local band Padres. He was the Mee-pop man.
Right.
But he's a great film scorer. So he's scoring the music and we're writing the song lah. So because I was writing a song as a lyricist, I said, I need to read the script so that I know, what to write in the lyrics. I need some inspiration. So
Right.
I got the script, and I for once I know I'm the first to know, because I feel like I'm always the last to know.
Yeah, you mentioned this before.
Yeah, so now I'm the first to know, and I'm really pleased about it. I know who did it. But
Right.
my lips are sealed.
Yeah, even I'm not gonna find out, because you can win $1,000 apparently
Yes.
in a lucky draw if you solve this. So if you watch the play before this, it's nothing to do with the whodunit, right? Like the play does not.
No.
you wouldn't know- there's no killer or anything in the play, right?
In the first version, no. So
Right.
that's just a context. Like that's just to let you know more about this world, this mysterious world that these women are in. But all the clues to this particular mystery will be in this show.
Right.
Yeah, and
How
I think they have
exciting.
some parts online, digital,
Yeah.
but there's also the option to personally go down to the Soloha Hotel
Yeah.
and like snoop around and like look for clues.
Yeah. There are even staycation packages for the hotel.
So
yeah.
you can like staycate and go and like do a little bit of detective.
How
So
cool.
fun. Yeah.
And then all will be revealed in the, I think there are 4 sessions, right? On the 4th session, I think everybody will find out at the same time, I think. Yeah, from what I know. But anyway, just
But
to
I already know.
check the details out.
So
you,
gleeful.
Yeah, you can check out. I'm gonna put a link in the video description,
Okay.
as well as a link to Joe's performance and anything else we chat about in the episode. I think this is more involved in a sense than the curious case of the missing Peranakan treasure, because it feels that there's a lot more interrogation.
Oh yeah, there's totally one segment where the audiences online can interrogate each of the characters.
Yeah. Yeah, I may not have solved this one. I solved the curious case based on a hunch, I feel, but this
Right.
has to be probably very
But
concrete evidence.
hunches are great. Like, because I think somewhere in your subconsciousness you do know. Like you are
Yeah.
putting things together.
It's just I just don't know exactly
Why,
how to
right?
spell
Or
it
how
out.
you know,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And it's so funny, there's a theme song for that one too. Is
Yeah,
it
it's
a
a
thing?
thing.
Does whodunits have theme songs? I mean, I
No,
see
I
it.
think it's just I think it's a natural
Just-
response for theatre companies to cross collaborate. So I think the great thing about the pandemic is we are all thinking about how we can work more with each other so that we all have work.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think which is lovely. Of course, I've had a very long-standing history of collaboration with the theatre practice, but also I think it's because things are digital. Sometimes you want to market something now, you kind of have to do it differently from before.
Yeah.
So music is always quite a effective way to kind of like share marketing material. So
Yeah, for
once
sure.
we're done recording, I'm sure you will be hearing the song a lot.
Yay! It'll be on Spotify.
It's weird. I'm gonna tell you, it's weird.
It's weird, huh?
Yeah, but
Okay.
I think that's the whole point, because the whole warped nature of this world is also pretty like mysterious. And, like,
Yeah.
where are they? What
Yeah.
is this place? What's going on? The laws of time and space do not apply. So we kind of have that vibe going on. in
How
music.
cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of gaming, I wanted to talk to you about this. I don't know how many people
From
know
theatre games
if you-
to
to video games.
Yes.
I don't know how many people know this. Do you talk about it much? Joanna plays video games.
I
and
played
not just the
in the past
not
tense
the
maybe.
just the phone games, I mean, recently we played like Overcooked as well.
That was very fun.
and,
It's like so fun.
She played an RPG game back in the day.
That's actually how Dwayne and I actually really got to know each other. So everybody thinks that it was because of Singapore Idol or because we're in the theatre scene. No.
I had not even seen how she looked.
No.
And there's a certain thing about gaming that brings people together. I mean,
Yes.
there's I don't know, there's something about it, it's hard to explain.
No, because you're literally going through lives and deaths. Like we were like
Stakes are high.
we were getting killed and then resurrected, you know. So like I think there's a lot of that, and because you're fighting as a team. So okay, first we have to tell people we were playing Ultima Online. I know a lot of people probably now don't know it, but it's an online role-playing game.
Yeah, it's one of the earliest games that most role-play games now are. I mean, it paved the way, I would say, for many role-playing games.
Forefather.
Yeah.
I think it definitely was kind of like the predecessor to World of Warcraft. Right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I was an archer, mage, healer named Nimue. And you had so many characters.
I had too many characters. Yeah, it's just so hardcore. But then, yeah, I mean, so I wanted to ask you about, in terms of being a girl gamer, and if there's like a stigma, and if you know, that if you, do you encounter that on, actually probably not, right?
Back then, I think, right? Back then, it was a bit reversed. Back then, if you were a girl gamer, people will give you a lot of help. So if they realize that like the avatar is being controlled by, you know, a real girl.
Yeah, they hear a girl's voice. Sometimes you have to communicate.
Yeah, and you're using ICQ or whatever.
Yeah,
to
actually, I would say it's still. Is
it still the case? If
yeah,
you're
when
a
I play
female
Overwatch
player,
and there's a female player, then suddenly you feel all hits. I mean, you feel the hits turn. Like the guys start to be like, oh, you know, like things change a little bit. And sometimes, I don't know if you find this true. I find that some girls tend to use it. Like they totally use it.
Oh, I mean, I don't know whether it was conscious, but I'm usually like, I really don't know what to do, or like I'm stuck. Can somebody please resurrect? I'm so sorry. Like, oh my gosh, they like my body was looted. Like, please, like,
Right,
and I'm. It's not about sympathy. It's like you're so desperate in the moment and you're so helpless because you're so bad at the game. But I only speak for myself because I have other female friends like Celine Rosetta, who was amazing. She was like so with it, and she's always the one to save other people.
Yeah.
You know, so she never needed any rescuing, like no damsel in distress kind of thing. But me, I was always like, oh dear, I feel so scared and lost, like, and then I always have to like rely on either my other guy friends who are playing or like other guys who are playing around, and just like hope for some sympathy. So
yeah, well, but thankfully, I guess in that game you don't really know someone's gender. It's not as obvious. It depends on the gameplay.
It's not obvious.
Yeah. I want to quickly plug this book that I haven't actually talked about on the show. I wrote this anthology of short stories, and there's one chapter about a female gamer and of a minority race. So there are all these things that were interesting, and it's based off someone I know actually. Cool. And she says she has to sometimes code switch just to not draw attention to herself, which is a whole interesting thing. So you can explore that. It's called Little Red Dot Anthology. Every part of it's 10 stories, so you see 10 like 10 little, you know, like splotches, and they represent each story. So I'll put another link in the video description below. I covered different
topics. How cool are you? You have a and not just one, right? This isn't even your first book.
This is my second.
Wow, well done.
One talks about fame as well, and so
fame.
Yes.
The mic.
So yeah. Now we're gonna move on. Hopefully we have time for Clubhouse.
We only briefly talked about like gaming.
Did you have more to add about gaming?
Nothing. just that I'm very like, I do have a little bit of ADHD, or like I just lose focus really quickly. So I'm very intensely into a game, and then after that I just completely never go back to it. So I was super into Animal Crossing for like a good.
So you stopped already?
I haven't touched it in months. 2 months, 3. Yeah, I haven't touched it since this year began. Yeah, which is but I was playing it so intensely, and my island was so beautiful. Yeah. Okay, I should go back to it tonight and visit a bit.
Is there a Clubhouse chat about Animal Crossing that you've joined? Have you?
No, funny enough, because by the time I was on Clubhouse, I think I wasn't really playing Animal Crossing, so I kind of just lost interest. I did join some talking about NFTs, for example, or like some singing rooms, and I also did one. I did my own Clubhouse session on like vocal trumpet masterclass, so that was pretty neat. And then after that, I also like a bit like I lost interest also, so I haven't been. But also because I got busy this 2 weeks, so I haven't really been active. Because as much as Clubhouse is fun, it is very, very like time intensive.
It seems to, like
Yeah.
the people who are on it are always on it. It seems
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
and you just sit there and you listen. You really
Yeah, because you
get
really
involved.
get sucked in, or like you really want to participate and be part of the conversation. You
Yeah.
know? So it's a time sink.
Yeah. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to talk to you about hosting. Like, you host certain programs on TV.
Funny enough, mostly in Mandarin.
Mostly in
also.
Mandarin. Oh, wow, you're bilingual. That's just so difficult. You know, as
Yeah.
I'm hosting this, I watch my videos and
Yeah.
I'm the kind of host that jumps forward in my mind to like, how do I segue next?
Right.
So then I completely blank out to what the guest is saying. It's terrible.
It happens to
Do-
me too
right.
sometimes. Yeah,
But is it live? It's not live, right? As in like TV, they do cut and like they're
Right. the kind of programs that I do, they're usually a lot of editing is happening. And I usually try not to take up the live hosting. So it's so different being like an interviewer. In fact, I think I'm more of an interviewer rather than a host.
right.
So like if I have to remember exactly what's going to happen, I have to tie everything together. I have to be mindful of who are the VVIPs today, and I've got to like rattle off. So that is very overwhelming for me, and
Yeah.
I feel really stressed out. I also feel like my command of the language, whether I'm actually more comfortable in English, but in Mandarin, I often struggle to find the
You're
right
translating in your
words.
head sometimes, right?
So I really feel very incompetent as that kind of like big show host. So I wouldn't be able to like host Star Awards, for example. That's like I would pee my pants, if I had to do that, because
Right.
it's just really not my thing.
Yeah.
What I do enjoy is this,
The
just
personal-
sitting down and talking to people and having a conversation.
Mm.
So that's the kind of host that I am, but I'm
Right.
more a facilitator.
No, that's
Yeah.
that's in itself a skill also to
But
you
you're
know.
right, I do blank out sometimes. So I have been told by directors, and they said we can tell when you're thinking of the next question.
Oh.
Like and it's great that they remind me, because it's not even about like how I look on camera, but your guest is talking to you, and
Yeah.
they can tell that you've glazed over, or
Yeah.
that you've kind of left the conversation for a moment to think about what you're supposed to do.
Even if the camera's not on you,
Yeah.
right?
And I think so it's out of respect too. But then it's hard, because the truth is you do have to think about the next question,
you don't wanna
because you
have
need
a
to
gap.
keep it going
Yeah,
forward.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same when I grab my phone and you're talking to me and
Yeah,
I'm like,
and that's okay. I don't mind it. I don't
Yeah.
mind it at all.
right.
So it's just a matter of like balance. So you can go, but you can't go for too long, or like
Yeah.
be too out there. So
Yeah. Interesting. It's great to talk to another host to sort of like to see how it's all what you think.
I think the good thing about having actors training is that one of the things that they always teach us is you have to really listen in the moment. Even if you already know your lines,
Yeah.
you have
yeah.
to be in the moment, listening to what the other person is saying. So I always try and apply that also to interviews.
Mm.
So even if we have previously discussed roughly what we will be talking about, I'm still really trying to listen
Yeah.
to what they're saying in this moment, and then of course take the opportunity to follow up with
Yeah.
questions based on what they're saying, rather
Yeah.
than just what's on paper.
Yeah. So you do that, although it's scarier because it's not planned for, and then.
Oh, but I'm terrible. I always do that, and then the director's like, oh, we kind of have to go back to like some of these key questions that we need to answer
Right,
to.
right.
So, like sometimes interviews with me can take quite long because I'm very curious, and I will go all over the place.
But that's when
Yeah.
you discover something,
It's
know.
true. Some of the best moments in interviews come when we're going off the script.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you spoke. Now we're gonna talk about what we spoke earlier about
Yes.
the trumpeting classes to end off.
Yeah, we should have
Do
Dwayne
you?
be my guinea pig.
I would love to be. I don't know how
Yes.
badly I'm gonna fail or succeed, but
Yeah.
but the thing is, do you teach it, and is there a link to
You know,
Is it-
funny enough, I've done one workshop on Clubhouse, but I've never actually
For free?
formally I've never formally taught it like in a
Right.
class. Nor have I even done a video like a tutorial, which actually I should probably
should.
record it and put it on my YouTube, or do like a TikTok tutorial
Right.
video. But you've never formally done that, because I think to me that's always been like a novelty item. Like I'm a singer. I am primarily a singer, and the vocal trumpet thing is really something I do when I feel the show just needs a little bit more like fun.
Mhm.
So I usually do it when I'm insecure.
Okay.
When I feel like I really need to impress people,
Right,
then
we-
I usually pull that out because I feel like, oh, people will at least think, oh, like that's different.
Oh, you got two
Like-
for the price of one.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
Right, right.
So, but then you have to be kind of mindful not to overuse it lah, because it
Yeah.
is a gimmick and it can really come across as gimmicky. And so, again, as recent events have shown, people don't understand or don't like it. And I hear you because it is weird. Like, why suddenly in the middle of the song, how that you go and boo, like, what's wrong with you?
Right. Yeah, it's
So I think the context, I mean, especially when I was in a beautiful gown, maybe that was also very it was disconcerting. Like
Yeah,
it didn't
I mean-
match the elegance of the occasion. Maybe I don't know.
I mean,
I'm
but we do
reflecting.
have preconceived ideas of how things should be as well. I mean, and sometimes when you are an artist, you do push those boundaries. So
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to have a little bit of fun, you know. So
Yeah.
that was like my own moment of just. Funny enough, also like the saxophone solo in Cheng Li 的月光, which is the song I performed, was performed by a musician friend of mine, Uncle Stephen Rufus. So I've done many wedding gigs with him, and so we always try and do that song with him so that he can
Right.
play that particular saxophone line.
right.
And so that's also my little like wink tribute to him, where
Aw.
I'm like doing the vocal trumpet to his iconic line.
Right.
Yeah, but it's really very easy. So if you
Okay.
can sing, that's already like half the battle won, because
Okay.
most of it is really you're just singing the notes.
All right.
Okay, so what I usually how I usually start is you kind of find a sensation of pressing your lips together,
Mm-hmm.
and then you kind of find a small gap either on the right side or the left side,
Okay.
whichever is more comfortable for you, and
Okay.
you start to try and force some air out of it, like.
But it's gonna
that's good.
sound like I'm farting.
Yes, it will sound like you're farting at first,
Okay.
and that's fine. And also sometimes you want that kind of.
It has to be
like,
the side
literal.
though. Okay.
You can do it in the middle. I've seen people do it from the middle, but I find that harder to control.
Okay.
Side seems to give like I have better lip control over it.
Right.
So and then basically what you're trying to do now is to sing. Let's say I usually think of myself singing boo. So
Right.
for example, if you want to say.
La Vie en Rose, like doo.
Yeah. So I would be thinking, I'll find a higher range, a
Right.
higher part of my range where I can have a very nasal sound, like a nasal bright sound. I think that's it. So I will be singing boo 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 boo, but then I'm trying to squeeze all that through my closed lips.
Okay.
So I'm like.
The support, I feel this is coming out
There's
a little
usually
bit.
a bit more neck tension, which is actually very
It's
bad
tension,
for
is it?
singers because it does strain your voice a bit.
Right.
But that's why I also say this is a novelty item. You shouldn't
Right.
make a whole career out of it. It's very bad for your voice. Yeah.
Wow.
Try,
And
try,
so,
try.
So what should my pitch be?
No,
Don't-
up to you. Fine.
Is that nasal enough? No, right? Probably it's too. It has to be nasal, so it has to sit in my chest voice, right?
It can be high also. It can be
Is it too low?
up to you. You have to try.
La 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 la. That's very nasal.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Try
but it doesn't sound
booing it.
high like a trumpet. Does it have to sound? Do I have to go la 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 la
That's
la
probably
la,
better. That's probably better.
la? But that's not that nasal, right?
Yeah.
La 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 la. But I might, because this is like
It
sitting
might
in my
crack, right?
passaggio. I'm
Okay, so
afraid it will
try it
crack.
lightly first. Don't worry about the nasalness first, but try finding the trumpety sound
Okay,
first.
I'm probably not gonna get this. It's probably. It's not.
So your
It's
lip,
coming out
no,
sometimes
it's
or
good.
it's not.
It's good, but it's also because this is a new sensation.
Mhm.
Mind you, have been doing this for like more than a decade, right? So like almost 20 years of doing the vocal trumpet. So I've
Right.
had practice, but you may want to purse your lips extra tight when you start, just as to find it.
Well, why is that? There's a bit of a.
And that's exactly what you want. You want that vibration in your lips.
Oh, I'm looking at yours and I don't have.
Oh,
I don't have it
you
yet.
have it. You have it. It's just not as obvious.
So I'm just doing the air first.
Yes, and that's good. That's the right placement.
But I shouldn't let it come out.
No, you should let the air come out.
How much?
It
I don't have that.
really depends. As you go along, you for different effect, you will use different amount of air.
Right.
Yeah, but you
I
don't
feel
need
I
too
don't
much
have.
air.
I need to inflate something, right?
I do actually. That's a good point. So I do kind of think of like
And I'm not
I've
inflating
like
anything.
I'm storing like a mouthful of air, and then I'm kind of like pushing it out of like the lid.
Does it come out this way, or
It can.
doesn't
It
matter?
doesn't really matter
I
at this
can't.
point.
I need to just get one note and one sound out. Too much. It shouldn't make a
Just sing.
noise, right?
Just keep singing notes. Sing the whole song and then keep adjusting as you go.
Is it a lot of pressure? It's like, does it feel like no?
It can be quite relaxed. You see, that's actually good. That's the start of it. But now, so a lot of it is still inside your mouth, and so you're just trying to release it a little bit more so that more sound comes out. There we go.
I'm trying to.
But you felt it,
Yeah, I
right?
felt
You
it. I
felt
felt
right?
the
That's
sound.
it.
The sound sort of inflates a little bit.
Yes.
Then
Very good.
so from there, you just take it.
Yeah, and so what you want to just practice is to get a consistently find that sound like that.
Because now I'm just it's like So
because
I
your
need to
lips are
just,
getting used to this
Right.
new sensation, right? So, I usually take a breath and then I do inflate it a bit and then push out the air as I'm singing the note. So what you can't see is that I'm actually articulating it with my tongue as well. So every note,
Oh, I see. And
I
you're
could
saying
I
cool
could
as well.
I could hold a long note and do, but that wouldn't sound as trumpet-like as if I articulated every change in note with my tongue. So
you're pushing. Got it.
and I'm
And
also
what-
slightly like applying a bit of lip pressure, like a bit more book with every note
Right.
as
And
well.
what is the tongue doing?
Tapping the back of my teeth.
On the side or in the middle?
Near where the hole is.
So if you
near.
could show it to me like with the mouth open, you're just doing that. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
try
kind
on
of
my
like
own.
it's kind of flicking. Yeah, I know it's very self-conscious when you're on. That's why I thought Clubhouse is good for it because
Yeah.
you're only listening to sound and people don't have to worry about how they look because when you start, right, it's bound to look ugly. Like it's
Yeah.
bound to look a bit like awkward.
Yeah.
So it can be like really maybe you're like if people cannot see you, you feel a bit better, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But okay, well I got some of it out, so I think
No,
I'm
it's
just gonna
great. Yeah,
keep
you
working.
had some moments where the tone was so nice. And it always, actually, guys always tend to sound a little better on the trumpet because you have a wider range. So then you can reach higher like notes, but you also have some of that like brassy bassiness in your voice
Right.
as well. So that always like makes the texture sound nicer.
Right. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
I can reach though, because it's much higher. That's
Oh,
very-
then so you may start lower and aim for
Right.
something a bit more like a trombone
Mm.
rather than like a trumpet. Yeah, but I can.
But it works
some,
in the low range as well.
Yeah, but it will kind of be interpreted more as a
Trombone, right?
Yeah, which
Yeah,
is
'cause trumpets
exactly
are
what
usually in-
the like the different range of the instruments.
Right.
So there are some ranges, for example, I wouldn't sing that high because it'll sound ugly, but it's okay if I trumpet in that range.
Right.
So like la 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 la, like or like
Yeah.
even higher, but that's like okay, it may start to sound a bit strident, but if I do like
Right, yeah, it just
it sounds more.
it rounds it off.
Yeah, it just has more
I get
vibe
what you
to
mean,
it.
yeah. Wow, fascinating.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a vocal trumpet ambassador. Everybody can like have fun.
Fantastic. How many people do you know can do it? Like amongst-
Nathan can do
Nathan
it.
can do
He-
it,
in fact,
okay.
he did it in the contest too in the year he participated.
Oh wow.
Quite a lot of people from the a cappella scene can do it because we
Wow.
have no instruments. I think that's the very definition of a cappella, and so we will figure out how to make all these different sounds with our mouths. So, for example, my friend Junie, I think I taught him a little bit,
Yeah,
and then
Junie
he's
Go,
totally gone ahead and like he knows how to do it now.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
so quite a lot of people can do it lah. But I guess I've just been playing with it for very long. Darnie, who's an amazing beatboxer,
Mm.
he has taught, like I think he has a video teaching people how to do the
Okay,
vocal
we shall try and find it,
trumpet.
put it in the
Yeah,
video
you can
description.
check that out.
But you still have to maneuver your chest and head voice. That
I think that one is like more
Very
advanced
technical
level where
here,
you're trying to like really change, like really get a nice tone. But if you just want
Ah.
like to change up like something from like singing and then like go into something else, then I think that's good enough. You don't need
Okay.
to worry about like having like a beautiful trumpet tone, for
Right, right.
example. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I think we've just about the end. Yes, that's the play out sound.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here,
Yeah.
and thank you so much for joining us.
No, it's my pleasure. This was fun. Yeah, I love hanging with you.
Yay! Share the episode if you think something here strikes you and it means something to anyone else who you would think the message is suited for. If not, see you in the next episode, and be sure to check out Joanna's Spotify playlist.
Can I see the Ninja Turtles?
Oh yeah, they.
It's very
Now
hard
they
to
can.
see. Yeah. Here's in a half shell.
Turtle power! Bye!